Hello guys and welcome to the video, and today it is my pleasure to compare the two narwhals in the game. Now the ME262 A1U4 has been one of my favorite vehicles in all of War Thunder, and this newcomer, the SO8000 Narval, is a strong contender for the title of favorite airplane, but there's a few things that keep it back from that position in my estimation at this time. And we'll go over those things. But both of these I like to fly in a ground attack role because my favorite mode to play in this game is still Tank RB, and so developing the skills to support ground forces has always been my biggest pleasure in Air RB. And just the way that the ME262 moves through the air is familiar to a lot of experienced players in War Thunder. And the way that the SO8000 lifts off the runway is also becoming something of a special consideration for those who have flown this plane. So with that, let's get right into examining a match in the Narval. As I said, we're going to be flying this plane in a ground attack role today. And as you can see, I've loaded up rockets, which is going to slow me down, make me far less useful in a fighter-on-fighter engagement. However, we're going to see that the Narval still has the ability to defend itself because of its fantastic forward-facing firepower. And as an immediate comparison with the ME262 Narwhal, you're going to see that this plane has a different way of defending itself from an attacker. While both are effective and have quite a lot of potential in a head-on engagement, I don't tend to attempt dogfighting in the Narwhal, but what I rather do is just keep my speed up and plan my attack vectors to maintain my energy as I move through my ground strike pattern. But with the Narval, I have a different strategy. Admittedly, it's taken less time to develop, but it's a similar one that I use with planes such as the Wyvern, which is very similar to the Narval. In fact, I'm of the opinion that it wouldn't hurt for them to have a similar battle rating. Maybe say a 5.3 for the Narval, and give it an attacker spawn. You know, they talked this plane up as an attacker. The devs in the dev blog mentioned all of these features that make it a fantastic attacker. And then what do? They give it a strike fighter spawn. And of course, they did that for reasons of game balance, and it was probably a good call on their part to not make this an overpowered vehicle to begin with, but it did not have a small price tag, and I wouldn't mind having a little more of an advantage as I fly this out, waiting around 6 minutes for a match. But I've noticed that around 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, I start to get into matches a lot more easily. So if you want to take out your Narval, fly him in the middle of the day and you'll probably find there's plenty of targets. And here we go, opening up on ground targets to begin with. I'm running stealth belts, I think, in this one. And take out a few AA trucks on the way into combat, and I can't wait to play this in Tank RB when French ground forces come out, because that's what we've all been waiting for, I think. I can't wait to get into a Char B1 or any of those other really interesting French early World War II designs. You know, it seems like they sort of stopped designing tanks in the middle of World War II. I wonder why that was. But up until that point, they had some fantastic vehicles, and it's not like the Narval is going to be experiencing that level of ground forces. But just look at this plane. As it rolls, even at low speed, it maintains performance. It's got a lot of wing surface to handle the great weight of the aircraft. And another thing that I love about this plane, and one of the reasons that I just had to purchase it, is that it has such a unique design. There's similar aspects in a lot of other planes, but this one brings them all together in a really neat way. It has almost a flying wing delta shape to it, like the Horton 229, and it's a pusher prop with dual contra-rotating propellers, which I can't wait to take this out in sim because I just know it's going to fly so smoothly. And coming back to the gameplay, you've seen that we've opened up with our rockets on heavy tanks, and they do have the potential to punch through the armor of even heavily armored tanks from most angles because I'm using high explosive anti-tank rockets, which are a new introduction with this patch, as far as I'm aware. And we're also opening up on SPGs, which are the Stug. I think the Stug with the 75mm high velocity cannon. The top armor on that vehicle is not very thick, so you'll find that the 20mm on the Narval are perfectly capable of shredding to pieces lightly armored or open top vehicles, which already helps this plane to find its place in a tank RB scenario. It can be extremely useful to have a vehicle like this to punch through the roof of AA, light tanks, yeah, copy, even a lot of German medium tanks or MBTs such as the Leopard will be afraid of these guns. We've talked about the armament, which is the most important aspect to a ground attacker. We've talked about a little bit about the maneuverability. Again, this plane handles well at all speeds for how heavy it is. If you keep in mind that this is a heavyweight aircraft with a powerful engine, it'll perform similarly to the Wyvern, which if you bought this one, you were probably tempted to buy the Wyvern, especially since it has gone on sale a few times. If you don't have that plane, it's fantastic. Very similar to the Narval. Also, your top speed is going to be good at all altitudes, and high altitude performance is not lacking in this airplane. Dive speed is excellent, and importantly, the control surfaces don't seem to compress badly at any speed, which can even enable you to use this in a sort of heavy fighter role, although I would still recommend using this as an attacker. With its heavy airframe and powerful engine, it's able to retain energy fairly well in vertical maneuvers, which enables you to line up passes for your rockets to engage targets from the top, and also to line up those MG151 20mm cannons to shred apart lightly armored top armor. If you do decide to climb and use this as a high altitude fighter, you'll have no problem taking out bombers if you can climb fast enough to intercept them. The guns on this thing are very capable, and being all mounted in the nose, it's easy to find convergence with these powerful cannons. You'll be able to shred apart any airplane in the game if it lingers in front of your plane. With a good elevator and acceptable roll rate, good high altitude performance, high top speed, but a little bit high on the battle rating, you would be primarily hunting bombers with this thing. If you decided to engage German fighters, don't be afraid to turn with them if the situation is right and you're not outnumbered. And if things get hairy, you will have that ability to dive away if you're in a similar energy state to your enemy. But if they are going faster than you, it might take a while to get separation, and German cannons are completely unforgiving when they converge. Beyond that, I don't have a ton of experience using this as a fighter. It's usually been a lot less rewarding than ground strike, and most importantly, this airplane is gorgeous. It's fun to fly, a pretty plane. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Now, since we're talking about beautiful aircraft, in my opinion, they don't come any more gorgeous than the ME-262. And with the long nose on this U4 cannon, yeah, it's got some appeal for me. Maybe that's just my style. And similar to the Narval, the Narwhal is a heavy plane. barely able to lift off the runway, but once you get in the air, all that is forgotten, as the incredible thrust you get once you're at decent speed from these early German jet engines is truly defining for this vehicle as a powerful, high-speed interceptor, attacker, and if your aim is good and the ping is with you, then you can use this in a fighter role. But frankly, I don't have that kind of skill. I've engaged in a few dogfights with this thing, and you can shoot down enemy fighters. And they'll often underestimate you. For some reason, people decide to try turning, and then you can just energy fight for days in this heavy, powerful aircraft. Get on their 6, line up that cannon, and it only takes one hit if you're running high explosive. Even the APHE can shoot down enemy fighters, but that is not the intended role for this gun. It works very well against bombers. I always run the Narwhal, again, because I love ground attack with armor-piercing high explosive. The HVAP rounds have not been performing for quite some time. Any angle on the armor and they bounce, and you'll get, because of persistent desynchronization between your game client and the server, you'll get things bouncing off of surfaces that you really don't expect them to bounce, because in reality the ground vehicle is not exactly where it looks like it is in your game. And here we're starting off by taking out an AA just because we can. It usually takes 1 or 2 hits with piercing rounds. And again, use APHE. HVAP is not working well. Even when it does penetrate, it often takes more than 1 hit. But as you can see, 1 hit on a T-34 is enough to take it down. Any penetrations will destroy an enemy tank. So let's compare this with the Narval. The Narwhal that I'm currently flying, and again, the names are very similar, so sorry for the confusion, but I'm not going to use the technical definition or designation for these planes because it's kind of a tongue twister for me. So, the Narwhal that we're looking at now, very high speed, in fact, faster than most planes it's going to encounter, and with a heavy airframe, it has good dive speed and energy retention, enabling you to outrun almost anyone you would face. The Narval, French airplane, good high speed, but with an acceleration that is not the best at its tier, and probably somewhat of a high battle rating, it will not be able to outrun enemy fighters. The Narwhal, a one-shot gun. If you hit with this gun, you should be finished. That target will most likely be destroyed. And the Narval, 6 high rate of fire, powerful 20mm cannons. It's another airplane that does not have to have its guns on target for long to wipe something out. And the Narval is able to spray. Now, the Narwhal does have a fantastic rate of fire for its 50mm cannon, so you're able to adjust your fire rapidly, as you can see. And with its one-hit capability, I would consider both of these airplanes as having an excellent armament, but the Narval pulls ahead in air-to-air because of your rate of fire, and the Narwhal pulls ahead in ground strike because of your superior velocity, accuracy, and armor penetrating qualities, as well as post-penetration effect. So a comparison of strategy. With the Narval, you're not going to be the fastest thing in the air. So, move to an area of the map where enemy fighters are not likely to be present in mass numbers, or move together with other attackers, so that you can cover each other in a thatch weave sort of manner. If somebody pulls onto the tail of one of your allies, pull around and engage them. or the two of you form a loop together where you'll be dragging your attacker into a head-on with one of you. And with the fantastic guns on the Narval, you will be able to erase that that enemy fighter if he persists in staying at your altitude. If they climb, you will have the ability to follow for a short distance because of the excellent energy retention of your aircraft, and that's how you'll be defending yourself, by engaging enemies that come to you, but attempting to stay out of their area of influence. In the Narwhal, your defense is speed. Keep your speed up. At the end of your attack runs, climb to transfer that speed into potential energy, and then convert that back into speed in a dive. Engage the column nearest you from above, and then swoop down and fly at a low altitude with high speed, and continue to engage columns from the side. Aim carefully and take out as many tanks as you can, and you will find that in the Narwhal you will get very consistent results. You'll be able to place in the top of your team very frequently, and that's often how I complete challenges, by flying out this vehicle. And compared to the Narval, it has more consistent results. It fears interception quite a bit less. It's a dominant plane on the battlefield, and it has a relatively low battle rating for its performance. The Narval, a little bit of an up tier, but still a solid aircraft and a joy to fly. Thanks for watching the video. Feel free to drop any comments in the comments section below, and remember to share and subscribe if you'd like to see more of this content. It's been a pleasure making videos. I do these for me, but it's fun to see some community interaction. I've already met a few really cool people in this game because of these videos. So thanks a lot, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.